The world isn't changing slowly anymore. It's moving so fast that most people won't even realize they've been left behind. And the skills that paid you yesterday may be useless tomorrow. The jobs you trust today may not exist next decade. If you don't adapt now, the future will not be kind to you. For most of human history, change moved slowly. One generation could pass down the same skills, the same jobs, the same way of thinking, and those things would still work. Your parents did something, you learned it, and chances were high it would support you for life. That world is gone, not slowly disappearing, already gone. Today, change is not linear. It's exponential. And most people don't understand what that really means. Linear change is predictable. You can see it coming. You can adjust little by little. Exponential change is different. It feels slow at first, almost invisible. Then suddenly, everything shifts at once. By the time most people notice, it's already too late to catch up. Think about technology. For years, computers improved gradually. Then the internet arrived. Then smartphones. Then cloud computing. Then artificial intelligence. Each wave didn't just add something new, it completely rewired how businesses operate, how money moves, how power is distributed, and how people create value. Entire industries didn't decline, they were replaced. What most people get wrong is this: they think the future will look like the present, just slightly faster. That assumption is dangerous. The future will look nothing like today, and it's coming much sooner than people expect. Dom Belindian, in an exponential world, the skills that made you successful yesterday can make you irrelevant tomorrow. The company that dominates today can disappear within a decade. The job you feel secure in can be automated, outsourced, or transformed beyond recognition. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Stability is no longer guaranteed by loyalty, degrees, or experience alone. People love comfort. They love routines, they love familiarity, but comfort has become one of the greatest risks of our time. When change accelerates, comfort turns into blindness. You stop learning, you stop questioning. You assume tomorrow will reward you the same way yesterday did. It won't. Being to exponential change rewards those who prepare early and punishes those who react late. There is no middle ground anymore. Banjer, look at how fast decisions matter now. A single technological breakthrough can shift global markets overnight. A new regulation, a geopolitical event, or a financial shock can rewrite business models instantly. Leaders no longer have the luxury of waiting for certainty. By the time certainty arrives, opportunity is gone. This applies to individuals just as much as it applies to corporations. In the past, you could afford to specialize narrowly and stay there. Today, narrow thinking is fragile. The most valuable people are not the smartest in one small box. They are adaptable, disciplined learners who understand systems, incentives, and risk. Balance the change. The world doesn't reward intelligence alone, it rewards judgment. Then judgment comes from exposure, from reading broadly, from understanding how different forces connect, technology, economics, politics, human behavior. If you don't actively build that perspective, the world will make decisions for you instead of with you. Another mistake people make is assuming that exponential change is only about technology. It's not. Technology is just the accelerator. The real transformation is cultural, economic, and institutional. Work itself is changing. Careers are becoming portfolios, not ladders. Authority is shifting from titles to results. Trust is moving from institutions to individuals. Capital flows faster. Competition is global by default. In this environment, waiting for instructions is dangerous. You cannot outsource responsibility for your future to your employer, your government, or your education system. Those systems are under pressure themselves, trying to adapt in real time. The people who win in an exponential world take ownership early. They ask hard questions before they're forced to. They invest in skills before they're required. They prepare for disruption before it becomes obvious. They don't panic, but they don't sleep either. Preparation doesn't mean predicting the future perfectly. That's impossible. It means building resilience, financial resilience, skill resilience, mental resilience. It means having options when others have none. This is where discipline matters, not motivation. Discipline to keep learning when you're already doing well. Discipline to challenge your own assumptions. Discipline to invest long-term when short-term noise is loud. Discipline to say no to easy comfort in favor of hard preparation. Most people wait for a crisis to change. In an exponential world, that delay can be fatal to careers, businesses, and wealth. When people talk about technology, they usually talk about jobs. Which jobs will disappear? Which jobs will be created? Who will be replaced by machines? That conversation is important, but it's incomplete. Technology isn't just changing what people do for work. It's changing who holds power, how decisions are made, and who controls value. That's the part most people miss. Then in the past, power was concentrated. Large institutions controlled capital, information, and access. If you wanted opportunity, you had to go through gatekeepers, banks, corporations, universities, governments. Technology is quietly dismantling many of those gates. Today, a single individual with the right tools, skills, and judgment can compete with organizations that once required thousands of people. Small teams can scale globally. Information that used to be exclusive is now available instantly. Capital moves faster, markets react faster, and reputations are built or destroyed in real time. Bam, this shift changes the rules of the game. Technology rewards leverage. If you understand how to use it, your impact multiplies. If you don't, you're competing with people who have 10 times your reach at a fraction of the cost. This is why the gap between winners and losers is widening so fast. It's not about effort alone anymore. It's about how intelligently effort is applied. Power is moving away from titles and toward capability. Bans a job title used to protect you. Today it doesn't. What protects you is relevance, the ability to solve real problems in a changing environment. Technology exposes empty authority quickly. Results matter more than credentials. Execution matters more than promises. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Technology is neutral. It doesn't care who you are. It amplifies both competence and incompetence. If you're disciplined, prepared, and curious, it becomes a weapon. If you're complacent, it becomes a threat. Another misconception is that technology only affects tech people. That's false. Every industry is now a technology industry. Finance, healthcare, manufacturing, education, logistics, all of them are being rewritten by data, automation, and artificial intelligence. Embargoing this doesn't protect you, it weakens you. Leaders who treat technology as a side issue lose influence. Employees who treat it as someone else's responsibility lose leverage. The people who gain power are the ones who understand how systems work, not just tools, but incentives, risks, and second-order effects. Being technology also changes speed. Decisions that once took months now take minutes. Markets that once reacted slowly now move instantly. Mistakes are punished faster, but smart moves are rewarded faster too. There's less time to hide, less time to recover from denial. Ambia, this forces a new kind of leadership, one grounded in clarity, humility, and constant learning. The strongest leaders today don't pretend to know everything. They ask better questions. They build teams that challenge them. They invest early in understanding new tools instead of dismissing them. They focus on resilience, not perfection. For individuals, the message is simple but demanding. You must become technologically fluent, even if you're not technical. Why? That doesn't mean you need to code. It means you need to understand what technology can and cannot do, how it affects your industry, and where human judgment still matters. The future belongs to people who can combine human insight with technological leverage. Tambi, there is also a moral dimension to this shift. Technology concentrates power quickly, and concentration always carries risk. Misuse, misinformation, inequality, these are real challenges, but pretending technology doesn't exist doesn't solve them. Responsible engagement does. Man, those who step away from technology don't stop its influence. They simply give control to others. Another reality people struggle with is that technology removes excuses. Distance, lack of access, lack of information. These barriers are shrinking. What remains is accountability. If you fall behind today, it's harder to blame the system. The tools are available. The question is whether you chose to use them. This is why mindset matters so much. Fear makes people resist change. Curiosity makes people adapt. Technology doesn't wait for emotional comfort. It moves forward regardless. The people who win are not the loudest or the most confident. They are the most prepared. They understand that power today comes from adaptability, integrity, and long-term thinking. Gel technology will continue to reshape who has influence, who creates value, and who sets the agenda. You can either participate in that shift intentionally or be shaped by it passively. There is no neutral position anymore. The real question is not whether technology will change your life. It already has. The question is whether you will use it to increase your agency or allow it to reduce it. Most people believe failure is the greatest risk in life. It's not. Okay. The real danger, the one that quietly destroys careers, businesses, and potential, is comfort. Comfort doesn't look dangerous. That's why it works so well. Comfort feels like stability, a steady paycheck, familiar routines, predictable outcomes. It tells you that if nothing is broken, nothing needs fixing. And for a while, it rewards you. But over time, comfort dulls urgency, weakens curiosity, and erodes discipline. In a fast-changing world, that's fatal. Doubts and failure is visible. It hurts. It forces reflection. Comfort is invisible. It convinces you that tomorrow will look like today. And that assumption, more than any mistake, is what leaves people unprepared. And look at how people make decisions when things are going well. They stop learning aggressively. They stop questioning assumptions. They delay hard conversations. They postpone investment in new skills because right now feels fine. Blamed, but the world doesn't move on your schedule. By the time comfort turns into crisis, options are limited. You're reacting instead of preparing. And reaction is always more expensive than preparation, financially, mentally, and emotionally. This applies at every level. Individuals stay in roles they've outgrown because they're comfortable. Companies cling to business models that once worked. Leaders avoid tough changes to preserve short-term calm. Governments delay reforms because disruption is unpopular. The result is the same every time. Slow decay followed by sudden shock. History is full of examples. Strong institutions didn't collapse because they failed to work harder. They collapsed because they failed to adapt early when adaptation was uncomfortable but still manageable. Comfort creates blind spots. When you're comfortable, you confuse familiarity with safety. You assume past success guarantees future relevance. You stop measuring risk honestly because doing so would require change. In reality, the absence of visible problems doesn't mean the absence of risk. It often means risk is accumulating quietly. The most dangerous sentence in any organization or career is this has always worked. In a world shaped by exponential change, what always worked is often the first thing to fail. Another misconception is that avoiding failure means playing it safe. In truth, avoiding intelligent risk increases long-term danger. Growth requires exposure to new ideas, new tools, new responsibilities. That exposure always carries the possibility of failure. But it also builds resilience. People who never fail also rarely stretch. And people who don't stretch become fragile. Man's resilience isn't built in moments of ease. It's built by confronting difficulty before it's forced upon you. That's why the best leaders deliberately challenge themselves and their teams. Even during good times, they stress test assumptions. They plan for scenarios they hope never happen. They invest in redundancy, not because it's efficient, but because it's responsible. Comfort-focused thinking optimizes for today. Preparedness-focused thinking optimizes for survival and growth over time. There's also a psychological cost to comfort. When people stay comfortable too long, they begin to fear change more than stagnation. They protect what they have instead of pursuing what they could become. That fear slowly limits ambition. Then, when change becomes unavoidable, the emotional shock is greater. Confidence drops, decision-making weakens. People who once felt capable suddenly feel behind. This is why continuous self-renewal matters. Saint Lance, you don't wait for discomfort to force growth. You choose growth before discomfort arrives. You update your skills even when no one is asking. You challenge your routines even when they feel efficient. You seek feedback even when praise would be easier. This isn't about chasing chaos. It's about refusing stagnation. Being failure, when approached correctly, is data. It shows you where your assumptions were wrong. Comfort hides that information. It delays feedback until consequences are severe. The most successful people aren't reckless. They are calculated. They take small risks early to avoid massive risks later. They make incremental changes instead of emergency pivots. El Diaz, that discipline compounds. Another hard truth, comfort often comes from external validation, titles, salary, status. But those signals can lag reality. By the time the world adjusts its perception, you may already be behind the curve. Dan, true security today comes from internal capability, the ability to learn, adapt, and perform under new conditions. That kind of security doesn't show up on a business card, but it lasts longer. Plan it. If you want a simple test, ask yourself this. If my role, industry, or situation changed suddenly, how prepared would I be? And if that question makes you uneasy, that discomfort is useful. It's information. Ignoring it is the risk. The future is not something that arrives one day and asks for permission. It's already here, quietly reshaping industries, silently rewriting rules, gradually rewarding some while leaving others behind, often before they realize what's happening. The world is changing faster than most people are prepared for, and that reality doesn't care about our comfort or our excuses. What we've talked about today is not theory. It's not motivation for the sake of feeling good. It's reality. Change is exponential. Technology is reshaping power. Comfort is riskier than failure. Skills matter more than credentials. And winners don't wait. They prepare. Taken together, these ideas form a simple but demanding truth. The future rewards responsibility. Dan, responsibility for learning, responsibility for adapting, responsibility for your own resilience. No institution can fully protect you anymore. Not your employer, not your degree, not your past success. Those things still matter, but they are no longer guarantees. They are starting points, not safety nets. Calanges, the people who thrive in this new world, understand something fundamental. Waiting is a decision. And in times of rapid change, waiting is usually the wrong one. Preparation doesn't require panic, it requires clarity. Blend clarity about where the world is heading, even if you don't know the exact destination. Clarity about your strengths and your gaps. Clarity about what you can control and what you can't. Lambs, you cannot control the pace of change. You can control how seriously you take it. You cannot predict every disruption. You can build the habits and skills that let you respond intelligently. This is where discipline separates talk from progress. Discipline to keep learning when results are already good. Discipline to invest in skills that don't pay immediately. Discipline to think long-term when short-term noise is loud. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, and they fail because they delay action. They underestimate speed. They assume they'll have more time. Bandy time is the one asset exponential change destroys first. The future will not announce itself with certainty. It will arrive unevenly, unexpectedly, and often inconveniently. The people who succeed won't be the ones who guessed perfectly. They'll be the ones who stayed ready. Lemblians, read more than your job, requires understand technology even if it scares you. Build financial buffers before you need them. Develop judgment, not just knowledge. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, not comfort you. These are not dramatic moves. They are quiet, consistent choices. and over time they compound. There's also something deeply empowering in this moment if you choose to see it. Never before have individuals had so much access to information, to tools, to opportunity. The barriers are lower, but the standards are higher.